Welcome back to the 7th grade Mustache. On today's episode, we'll be speaking about bots and THOTS. A bot farm is a system or farm of bots that are used to generate clicks and internet traffic. These bots are used extensively for various purposes and not just invalid pay-per-clicks or other marketing tools. For example, bot farms are known to be used in app stores to improve app rankings. A bot farm isn't just a simple script, but instead it's a complete software with dedicated infrastructure consisting of servers, data centers, and several connected computers, routers, and much more. A bot farm uses sophisticated technical equipment and advanced structuring and coding to generate massive amounts of invalid clicks on a daily basis. To give you an idea of how sophisticated today's bot farms are, the security service of the Ukraine recently found a Russian bot farm and confiscated equipment that was used by that bot farm. The equipment included 2 telecommunication companies, computers, telecommunication hardware, 22,000 SIM cards, and plenty of other equipment. A similar bot farm was detected in 2016 by the Ukrainian cyber police that included 4,000 servers located in 63 countries. This was called the MethBot, and the MethBot claimed to be the biggest and most devastating bot farm ever detected, and had its servers and data centers located in Dallas, Texas, and Amsterdam in the Netherlands. A single server runs multiple sessions of the bot farm, and it has around 1,200 servers. The MethBot had more than 850,000 IP addresses that were generated using false registration details to make them appear real. Just to give you an idea of the scale, Facebook uses 400,000 IP addresses, while MethBot had twice that amount. This scale at which bot farms work is something that's not considered. These people that use these things just plod away on their devices and don't consider where this information is going, how your data is being used, who's mining your data. So if you think of a bot farm as a system of connected devices, in other words, computers and routers, if they become infected by malware, hackers can control the whole network and any of the connected devices without the user's knowledge. A botnet can be used by hackers to generate a bunch of bogus clicks to be used for pay-per-click campaigns. In this case, hackers leverage existing infrastructure to generate invalid clicks and other online activities. Large bot farms consist of both botnets and their own infrastructure, such as servers. Sophisticated and large bot farms have their own private IT infrastructure, making them hard to detect. Generally, a bot farm is a combination of both. A bot farm is more sophisticated than a clickbot, though. A clickbot is a programmed software script that is specifically used for generating invalid clicks and is used widely in the pay-per-click industry. Clickbots aren't as sophisticated and backed by massive infrastructure like a bot farm, but a decent and well-programmed clickbot is capable of much more than you could imagine. A bot farm doesn't generate clicks. Rather, it's capable of doing much more by merely generating invalid clicks and impressions. A simple clickbot will click an ad and visit the landing page. A well-designed and robust clickbot will replicate human behavior and will take several actions on the landing page, such as scrolling, filling out forms, mouse movement, multiple clicks, and etc. A more advanced version of a clickbot will learn and evolve. These are adaptable clickbots that use machine learning for evolution. Clickbots can be purchased or developed in-house to be used to generate invalid clicks on competitor pay-per-click ad sites. However, most of the clickbots are malware that spread automatically and part of a botnet or a bot farm. The malware clickbots receive specific instructions on what ads to click, how much time to spend on the landing page, and what actions to take on the landing page from the host net server. Now when people think about bots and they think about that term, they're associated with social media, and they're all over social media. Of course, bot farms are being used to deceive the average internet user and mine the end user's data. The bots use human language to ensure that people accept their authenticity and not be detected as fake. The photos are also stolen from different profiles and then misused for whatever purposes they deem necessary. Now, there's all types of these social media bots that people see on Twitter, and we'll talk about some of those in particular. So there's been operations out of Nigeria and Gambia and West Africa, and every Twitter user by now has seen the typical Gambian bot. Once you know what to look for, they're easy to spot. An account that recently joined Twitter will usually have a bunch of numbers in the username. That's your first key right there. It'll be like 7x45 Jimmy Bob 723, and it's like, dude, this is fake as fuck. But it has 0 to 8 tweets, and usually in bad or nonsensical English, followed by hundreds, but followed by few. So they follow a bunch of people, but they have almost 0 followers. And a profile picture and a background pic of some impoverished person or family in an African village to gain your sympathy or empathy. Often they include Christian imagery or Bible quotes. Very often for asking for help and sympathy, such as, I'm a poor orphan and my sister has no food, blah, 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 such shit like that. But they target specific groups to follow. For instance, people who resist or have resist in their bio or on their landing page. And you've seen a lot of these infiltrate the political campaigns of 2020 and campaigns that followed after that.
You've seen a lot with the Kanye West stuff right now. Like, people will kind of like high five you or like on your stuff, or if you post something about Kanye, whatever it takes to, not incite's not the right word, they encourage.
They're shit posters.
Yeah. They just stir the shit. They just start the shit.
Automated trolls. That's all they are. They're automated trolls. So, okay. Now, the Chinese bots are harder to spot and they're more sophisticated. The typical Chinese bot is a different thing altogether because these aren't recent accounts, but they're repurposed accounts or kidnapped accounts.
So they have a history. So
Correct.
They look like they've been.
So people will trust them, because there's photos that match some of the posts and this and that. I know a person who had one of their Facebook accounts, 2 of their Facebook accounts hacked by Chinese hackers. And then they took down, this is a black woman, they took down her photos and then put up a photo of a white couple. And I'm like, okay, yeah, this is somebody in Asia or somebody in Russia and the Mongolian steppe roll around there that's fucking doing this shit. Like, we don't want black faces, we want white faces. So check this out. So these hijacked accounts, then they start to tweet all this nonsensical stuff. They usually have some deep and meaningful quote in the bio. There is no need for them to infiltrate by following other accounts, as they have account that's been stolen. They already has a bunch of followers, right? So then when this person attempts to follow you, you go and you check their page and like, oh, this is a real person. And they have legit posts. But here's the thing, though. You can see a break in the style of writing. You can see, like, look at the change in grammar. You'll see a change in grammar. Like, if it's a black person, and they're like, man, I'm out here getting this bread, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden it's like, Jimmy and I are on vacation. I'm like, wait a minute. This motherfucker was not going on vacations before. Now they living their best life. And they putting all these fucking like Bible quotes on there, and get the fuck out of here with that stupid shit.
Look, but we talked about this before, especially during the election, when all they're trying to do is they're inciting. They don't have an objective directly, but they just want to incite shit so there's no unity and people don't get along. And people back in the day, you could disagree with somebody and still be friends with them. Nowadays, you can't. So it goes back to the communism playbook. They literally tell you in that playbook back in the 50s and 60s, if something arises where it begins to get a little traction, just label the person a Nazi or anti-Semitic or call them
whatever. Anything that's going to be reactive or have a knee-jerk reaction, you know what I mean? And people will be either for or against. It has to be a polarizing theme, something that rallies people to that cause. Be like, you know what? I like this guy or I hate this guy.
And like I said, they don't agree with. They don't even care about the cause. So yeah, you'll see them Black Lives Matter post shit like that, and yeah, you'll write on and agree with the shit, but like I said, they're just trying to incite the differences between us. And this gives them that power, especially with social media nowadays. That's like the biggest thing going. That's right up there, fucking espionage alley right there. You know what I'm saying?
So these Chinese click farms have been around for years. And the click farm is basically a room with a number of iPhones and Androids connected to a network, and a few programmers operating them from terminals. The number of phones, it varies, but it's not unusual for an operation to have thousands of phones connected to the internet. And programmers doing whatever they want with this information. But initially, it was a simple case of adding likes or comments to a client's social media post. And the clients were usually businesses selling a product. But then that need or that demand became political. And they were then used to throw more gasoline on these political fires. But let's talk about Facebook pages for a second. So, to Facebook programmers, bots can be indistinguishable from legitimate users. And these automated programs can be used to scrape users' personal information without consent, fabricate influence campaigns, and covertly push agendas, and spread disinformation and make scams more convincing. There's a think tank called Comparatech. And Comparatech researchers led by Bob Diachenko recently stumbled upon a Facebook bot farm hosted on an unsecured server. They found that the bot farm, as part of their routine scans for vulnerable databases on the internet, without authentication necessary to access the bot farm, the researchers took a peek under the hood to see how it works. In that bot farm, they found what was used to create and manage 13,775 unique Facebook accounts. They they posted 15 times per month on average for a total of 206,625 posts from this one farm in a given month. Just imagine that, dude. How much traffic goes in there? How far those tentacles reach.
And so, but see, here's the problem. Facebook has to be aware of it, because I remember watching stuff on JRE when he was interviewing that one Secret Service lady, and she was talking about like, yeah, these people are very effective. These bots are very they're hard to distinguish from real people now. They're big into the election, and they don't, they support Trump, they support liberal, they support everything because all they're trying to do is get you divided. They're not trying to push an agenda. They don't care who's in charge, just as long as me and you don't get along because I'm liberal, I'm conservative, I'm this, I'm that, and all they do is stir. They're professional shit stirrers, like we said. They stir the pot, or they're gaslighting everything. How do I say this shit? They click. They're getting the worst shit out there. A big deal right now is abortion, and the big deal right now is this, and that's what they're doing. And so, and it doesn't. And like I said, you're not even vetting the people. You're not even vetting the website, like you said. Like they'll ask to be your friend, and you don't know this person. Or how about this? How many times have people asked to be your friend, and it's your cousin, and they're already friends with you? You're like, then of course they.
You ask them, did you create another page? And they're like, no.
Nope. And so, well, here's what bugged me about that. Why were you coming after me? Because it's happened to me multiple times.
Or on Facebook, there'll be a person that you never spoke to, that you were never friends with, and they get like. You get a friend request from that person, and all it is a push. It's a push from Facebook. They're looking at all the people that you're cool with.
Yeah, who you might know.
And then they're like, oh, okay, this person might know this person, so we're going to push and see if we can get you two to be friends to gather more data on the both of you. But then they act like they're just this innocent, neutral third party that's not doing anything wrong. Dude, we know what you're doing, man.
Look, like I said, how many times has your cousin or your family member basically asked to be your friend again? Because I'm like, okay, maybe he lost his password. You think like that, like, oh, you forgot his password. But then Hey, do you know about this grant money that's out there? Hey, they gave me a bunch of grant money. Do you want some? And I'm like, yeah,
Right.
man. My cousin just called me asking for $40, and he got $10,000 in grant money. Yeah, right. And so that's the shit we're talking about. Like these bots, they're diabolical, and they play on your insecurities, or just the opposite, like your greed too.
Yeah. But going back to what I was saying about the whole friend request thing, I mean, these are people I haven't seen since elementary school. And then they hit me up with a friend request, and I'm like, all right, cool, we'll be friends. And then the motherfucker don't don't respond to like anything, or don't fucking like hit me up. And I'm like, oh, this shit
Delete.
was fake. So
Yeah, delete.
now this motherfucker that I had no association with is thinking I want to be friends with this motherfucker, and it's like, oh man, this is bullshit. Delete. Yeah, it's crazy. It's like, hold on a second. Like I haven't seen. There's a person that you and I grew up with that hit me up with a friend
Mhm.
request, and I'm like, oh wow, this must be genuine. This is motherfucker from fifth
Yeah,
grade and shit.
fourth grade. Yeah, shit.
Nothing. I fucking put posts up. This motherfucker don't respond to none of my shit. I'm like, oh, go fuck yourself. This is stupid. Like he probably didn't have nothing to do with this shit. This is fucking Facebook.
Yeah, yeah.
So
They have to be doing it to an end. Nobody wants because this shit costs money. Programming, and I guess programming is not that involved anymore. But just the amount of work that goes into this bot thing, this like you said, this like universal troll shit. uh, they wouldn't be
universal
doing
trollger.
it. Exactly. So they wouldn't be doing this if it didn't benefit them,
See what
or
I did there?
yeah, I got Universal Soldier. I got it. Yeah. See, see, I get your jokes, but but there's got to be an end to it because it's not worth. You would think that it's not worth it. Just like you getting over on me, or like I said, even my wife had a situation where somebody was asking to borrow money, and she said, "But I just spoke to her. I said you better call her back." And she's like, "Yeah, no, I didn't ask you for $40." And she's like, "Okay." And then you tell the person, I'll bring it to you. No, no, cash app it to me.
Yeah, that's how
Yeah.
you know some bullshit. Like,
I'm like, no,
especially
I'll
if it's a
drop it off.
person that you know that doesn't use Cash App.
Look, I'm gonna drop it off at your mom's house. Oh, no, no, no. Yeah, okay, yeah, nah, you full of shit.
Right. But a lot of these bot shit posters, they're posting a lot of stuff about politics, and more than 50% of the posts that were generated by these 13,000 fake Facebook accounts were political topics. News incidents and pandemic related posts were also common. So these bot farms, they're actually, it's social engineering of the worst kind,
Yes, yes,
because it's
very.
creating divisions between friends and relatives and family and coworkers. And you start to wonder, like, damn, who's behind all this? Then you start to think about, well, okay, there's money. There was money behind BLM, which is totally artificial. May have started off organic, but it became co-opted and then completely absorbed by Marxist shadow communists that are being funded by billionaire anarchists that were former Nazis and who probably have ties to the Communist Party or some type of maybe Fourth Reich secret embedded Nazi, organization. People think that, you know, when World War II ended, that was the end of the Nazis. No, what happened was
Nope.
Germany was defeated, but the Nazis won,
Yeah, they went into hiding and they won.
and they went
Yeah,
into space.
and they went into Brazil and they went into the past and the future.
Argentina.
Yeah. Oh, see, I'm sorry. I meant to say South America. You're correct. Argentina. I think Venezuela also, but I
and
digress. Look,
and and the mountains of Chile.
yeah, like literally, all you see on the History Channel is stuff about aliens and stuff about Nazis. You mean to tell me there's nothing else out there? But this is one of these issues where, like, it's kind of like if I give an example, it's like the Civil War in America. Yeah, the North won, but hell, the South influenced our attitudes for years about racism. When I say ours, not mine, but Well, hell, I guess mine too. Because, like I said, that racist narrative, and the Klan did this, and uh, Reconstruction that. So yeah, so you literally see how somebody can lose the war, but still have a shitload of influence on how the future was shaped. Well, the Nazis did that. Werner von Braun in NASA, Operation Paperclip. So even though those Nazis, those were the bad guys, we wanted the information they had. So they got new identities, and they've influenced everything from Disney to fucking NASA.
Right. Exactly. And it's so crazy that this guy, this former Nazi, in Alabama has an amphitheater named after him. And I'm like,
Hmm.
wow. Like this,
Look,
you people like make a sports stadium named after a former Nazi. This is insane.
look. Here's the deal. Like we know, we discussed Kanye last time, but remember, Adidas started by a Nazi, two Nazi brothers. One started Puma, one started Adidas. Yes, they gave Jesse Owens shoes, but they were Nazis. Look, fascist Nazis. Look it up. So it's one of these deals where you just don't understand the reach of this. You want to call them an organization, political movement? I don't know what to call them, but the whole Nazism. And then, like I said, if somebody calls you a Nazi, here's the crazy part. When you try to explain black people, like you talking about socialism, you do realize Nazis were socialists. No, they're racist. No, Nazis were socialists. You try to have that conversation, you're going to get cussed out because they know everything about Nazis, and Nazis were racist. And I'm like, okay, yeah, yeah, you do realize that they had those new neo Nazis at Malcolm X's speeches because they were socialists. And you can't explain that to people. They really don't know their history. They just know their emotional tie to certain words, and that's what they mean when you say anti-Semitic and et cetera, et cetera.
So when I was looking up this conversation that was had online about these fake Facebook pages that were created, I had to go and look up the original article. Well, the original article was on a website called Technology Review. And it was
What
originally,
year was it?
well, the study was done in 2019
Okay.
originally, which is crazy. But the original article was done by an MIT researcher and journalist. And yeah, so this was actually the research has been done for like I think it was like a year and a half study done, but it was originally published September 16th, 2021 by the MIT Technology Review, and it was written by Karen Hao. Excuse me, Chinese woman, last name spelled Hao. And I had to go dig this up, man. Good old Internet Archive, dude. Like when they tell you this page doesn't exist, that's cool, man. I'm gonna jump in the time machine. I'm gonna jump in the DeLorean and go find this bitch. And I did. And I went and I dug this shit up, man. And it talks about how there was a guy, he was the former director of AI at Facebook, was giving this speech. And he was talking about how after the Cambridge Analytica debacle, and how that was working with Trump and like using the data and all that stuff. He found this intersection of artificial intelligence, ethics, and privacy at Facebook, and this article goes deep, deep, deep into that, man. So if y'all want to find that, go to archive.org and then look for September 16th, 2021, the MIT Technology Review, and it'll be the troll farms and Facebook. But I had to go dig for this information. But see, this is also about how parts of the internet are dead and they have been buried and deleted and hidden because I mean
It's out of
there's
style.
there,
Things fall out of style or out of
no no
favor.
no 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 you're misreading what I'm saying. What I'm talking about is how I'm talking about obfuscation. Okay, obfuscation and the misdirection of the public perception and
Mm.
hiding information. So PayPal, about 2 weeks ago, I think it was
Yeah,
October the 9th or 10th,
I don't think.
PayPal
Yep.
PayPal, what they were doing is they put out this statement. Now, if any of you use PayPal, in your email inbox, you see these privacy updates you get probably once a month, like every 30 days. Now, what's going on there is their legal department is rewriting their bylaws
The
all the
terms of
time,
usage, and the terms of usage is
and
another
they're
thing that
changing it every 30 days. And I see anybody who's optimistic and like, early adopter, like, well, it's good for a company like that to change that often and keep a robust user agreement. I'm like, dude, you sound like a fucking salesman.
Hey,
Listen,
finish your story because you better say
hold
some
on,
deep shit.
I am. So PayPal, what they were doing is they were attempting to add an update to their user agreement that
Hmm.
says starting November 11th, they would charge you $2,500
$2,500.
if
Yes.
you are engaged in misinformation. Well, how do you determine it? How do you determine if it's misinformation? Who is the fact checkers? Who are you? Who's your government body? Oh, it's not a government body. This is like some private entity. Okay, so
Yeah.
basically you are picking and
Trying to censor me.
choosing
Yep.
who you
Censoring.
want to promote an agenda that is agreeable with your current user agreement that fluctuates all the time.
They will take your 2,500 without your permission. Basically, if you want to use PayPal, you had to agree to this
You
shit.
will be
You
in
don't want.
debtor's prison because
Yeah.
then what happens? If you don't have that money in your account, then your bank is going to put that in the negative and your account will be closed until you pay that or you're in arrears. Dude, this is some diabolical shit. There were a lot of high profile people that were flipping out on this. And if you go and you search for delete PayPal account, that
Yep.
hashtag, you will see exactly what I'm talking about. But you need to find this before it gets deleted and it gets swept under the rug. Now,
I think
everybody
it already
everybody
has.
wants to
It
talk
already
about
has.
no, because we're still talking about it.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to
That's
like
just special. That's nice.
everybody wants to delete people and cancel people for this. But PayPal wants to steal your money. They want to be part of this social engineering, the thought police.
Look, but
PayPal is a money transfer system, but
that's
now they
all.
want to be the arbiter of truth.
Look, but here's the problem. You got to watch out for people like Elon Musk. And the reason I'm bringing him up is because he he was a big part of this being outed. Him and the other homeboy, because remember they all made their money with PayPal. And the guy, I guess he's no longer, with PayPal. It pains me to say that this is the direction that they're going in. Why would they do this? I've out PayPal has outlived its usefulness for me. Something to that effect. Please forgive me. And then Elon Musk on Twitter agreed or high five or some shit like that. The whole time, Elon ain't no good cat either. So please don't get it confused when this guy buys Twitter because he wants to push their freedom of speech. The freedom of speech he's talking about is these motherfuckers don't feel comfortable using the N word. And again, we've talked about this. So he wants to create an area where these white males feel comfortable when some of the shit they're trying to say really ain't cool shit. But again, you know, I believe in freedom of speech. Say it. Don't censor anybody. Don't censor. Let me know how you really feel, so I know how to behave accordingly. But the idea of PayPal is going to charge you $2,500 if you say something that it deems untruthful. Yeah, man.
The Piccolo player is a motherfucker.
Man, so the fix is in, my nigga. The fix is in.
But that's important, though. It's important that we keep, speaking truth to power, that we keep talking about shit like this PayPal fuckery. I mean, there's people
It's
listen to the
important to
show
disagree
who
with me.
have no idea about what happened with PayPal.
But go back to what you were saying about parts of the internet being dead. What I was referring to is the fact that, like, literally things that were hot at one moment completely, like you said, completely get swept under the rug. That's what I was referring to. There's a whole portion of the internet, and when you go to find it, you can't find it. But then there's special websites that bring that shit. Like if you type in keywords, such and such touched a little boy on his butt cheek, and that one website will have it. So how do I say it? They'll kill whole stories, whole vibes, if you will, whole trains of thought because it's whatever. But if you go look for that shit, Ari Spears is a prime example where I like again, I don't know what that damn video is from that he's in trouble for right now, but it's obvious that he ain't want that shit out there. Instead of just saying like, look, man, I was trying to be funny, it didn't work. Don't defend your actions when they're undefendable. Admit that you made a mistake. But the internet won't does not let that shit go.
The internet is undefeated.
I hear that shit. I didn't want to use that terminology, but sometimes it's funny. I mean, look, sometimes it's very poignant.
Right. So this same study that I'm telling you about that was in the MIT Technology Review, it talked about how in 2020, the year 2020, the most highly contested political race in U.S. history, Facebook's most popular pages for Christian and Black American content were being run by Eastern European troll farms. And these stats that were read online months ago, almost a year ago, talks about how 17 out of 18 Native American pages were made by troll farms.
When you say Eastern European, you explain to them you mean Russia.
Yeah.
A lot of our people don't know.
They can't think about geography like that. I know. Russia or Ukraine somewhere, or Moldova, some shit like that.
Yeah.
So
Pakistan.
Yeah, but this is what I'm talking about though. But a lot of you may be using these sites. Dude, there's sites that target vegan people. Like nobody is safe. Everybody's being trolled in some way. So let's talk about an older episode that we had called The Thirst Trap Industrial Complex. This episode got shadow banned like a motherfucker. Because
like a motherfucker.
This one was basically claiming bullshit Mr. Handman on a lot of the data mining when it comes to dating sites and Instagram and all these lonely ass people that are sexually frustrated. So porn sites collect more user data than Netflix or Hulu. By mining this data to a deeper degree than other streaming services, many porn sites are able to give the internet users exactly what they want. But like all data giants, porn sites are designed to increase attention retention and time on the site. Hold on. The longer the viewers browse, the more data they produce. And the user interface design of these sites keeps users clicking by abiding by the old rule of desire. The best way to keep someone interested is to keep them guessing.
No, it's several comedians, two black comedians that come to mind. I can't think of who it is, but they both said the same thing. Like, how come these porn sites? What did they? I can't. Pornhub. How come Pornhub knows me better than my woman? Like, as soon as you log in, it says BBW Anal Queen from 1976, and he's like, yeah, look, I've been with my wife 7 years, and she doesn't know what I like, but you do. That's how powerful that algorithm is. That's how powerful it is. That, like you said, that clickbait. It watches what you click on, and it can recommend the right shit. But like you said, that right now they use that Pornhub for all kinds of research, and they tell you that they literally like you got like legitimate news agencies quoting Pornhub right now. Single preachers watch Pornhub more than da 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 da. They have data on these people in their backgrounds and stuff like that. So
check this out. So there's a professor at the UCLA School of Law and International Law, and his name is Cal Rustiala. And he was asked about this, and he said streaming is not just about distribution of content. It's also about communication. When you stream a video or you listen to a song, you are sending back information that can be measured. Porn conglomerates are the furthest along in terms of using big data in a feedback loop.
Yes.
Feedback loop. So your data is bouncing around all over the universe and inside what they used to call cyberspace.
It's being analyzed over and over and being, Your information is being sold on top of that, but yes, it's being analyzed.
Think about it this
You,
way. When you're on these dating websites, when you go to these porn websites, it's a two-way mirror. You're basically in a grocery store and you're shopping, and there are cameras and there are mirrors in there that watch your body language when you see certain things. They see which aisle you go down and you stop in and you stay in the longest.
long as you, how much time? I was gonna say, how much time you spend in that aisle? Yep.
Mm-hmm. Because, I mean, let's keep it real. If you go to Target, some of you will never go to the home furnishings aisle. Now, some of you may go to the toy aisle, and you might be in the toy aisle for a while. Or you might go over to electronics and you be over there for a grip. But your ass ain't never ever going to where they have the plastic tubs. See what I'm saying? But all that's being measured in this data mining endeavor.
Look, every time you bring this up to people about like TikTok and its terms of usage and all this stuff, and people are like, oh man, here's what people say, and this is a crazy. Well, they, black people, especially black women, will raise their phone up. They got all your information right here anyway, so I don't know what the big deal is. Like, just because somebody does it doesn't, it's done enough doesn't make it right. Frequency or being bombarded with something does not make it legit, and that's the world we
No,
live in now.
that's like saying, well, one woman was raped in history, so we can just keep doing it because it's been done before. And it's
Yes,
apparently, nobody's going to stop it. I
yes,
mean,
rape
come
is
on.
not okay.
Rape is never okay. But
But that's what they're saying, though. You're raping my content. You're raping my life. But since you do it so effectively and conveniently, ain't no big deal. And then when somebody else like, just say that I know about this, but I don't care about it. Just say that, but don't sit here and try to justify some negative shit. Because people will try to like talk. Well, you got Facebook, don't you? Like, look, that's cool. I get it. You want to turn it. You want to turn the argument to me because I pointed out something. I got you. Third grader.
right, but that's the whole thing is that type of deflection has been taught to you. And
Yes.
your early adopter sunken place mentality is what keeps you a prisoner.
Look, we were brainwashed so early on that we don't realize we're being brainwashed. You know, even
Listen,
with
the first time this happened to me, I was
which
9
part?
years old. I was 9 years old, and I was a big fan of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe.
This is a true story.
And I also happened to chew a lot of bubble gum at the time. And
I
so
already know. Oh man.
Bubble Yum had a contest.
So you never told me what happened with that. We talked about
So
this.
Bubble Yum had a contest. And the contest had this commercial, and it said, go and buy some Bubble Yum.
Hmm.
And if you get the wrapper
You
around the
win.
gum, it says you win. You will
Yep.
get the whole collection of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. And I'm like, solid.
He won.
Got you.
Just so y'all know,
I
he's
won.
the biggest Master of the Universe fan.
I won. I won. I went to the store. I bought. As a matter of fact, the crazy part about it is I went to the base. I went to the Air Force base with my dad. And I went to the BX, the store on the base, and I bought the gum. And I opened it. I didn't say nothing. I got quiet. I said, this is real, huh? So I followed all the
This like a,
rules.
this like a poor person winning the lottery. This is like a
This is
motherfucker
the Willy Wonka golden
talking
ticket.
like, yes,
That's what this
got you.
was. And I was the 9-year-old kid. I was like, I just won the Willy Wonka of He-Man toys. So then I followed the rules. I sent it to Syosset, New York. Their P.O. box. I put it in an envelope. My penmanship was good. I filled it out perfectly, no problem. I put a stamp on it. I put it in the mail. Nothing happens. Nothing happens. 6 weeks go by. Nothing happens. 2 months go by. And then I get an envelope in the mail. And guess where it was from? Syosset, New York. And I'm like, I opened the fucking the 8x11 envelope, manila envelope, and inside was a magazine of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. And I said, hold up. This is not what I won. This is not what the commercial said. This is false advertising. And I didn't understand that I was being used to collect data. I was being used to collect a demographic, location, and and consumer data for two companies, for Mattel Toys and for Bubble Yum, whoever owns this chewing gum company. And I'm like, oh, that's some real slick shit right there. That's real fucking slick, man.
Nigga ruined this motherfucker's life. Y'all don't even know.
Now I was cool. It was cool because I was fine, but I just realized that Piccolo player's a motherfucker. I mean, listen, around that time, like I'd already been around pimps and hustlers and dope dealers and junkies and shit in the streets. I'd already been around that shit by the time I was 9 years old, so I knew about that shit. But I'm like, well, this ain't the streets though. This is white toy maker America. They gonna keep it 100 with me. Nope, they sure the fuck didn't. And I'm like, oh, okay. So you're out here deceiving kids and just telling them the truth that you're not going to win this shit, but you will get a magazine. Just fucking say that, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't honey dick little kids. Don't thirst trap little kids. So I fell for this fucking toy collection thirst trap, man.
Mind raping. Like, look, I remember when you got that, and I'm like, man, this lucky nigga. I'm sorry. And you showed this to me because you didn't show nobody else.
I didn't show nobody else but you.
And you left the gum in the wrapper. Like, you was like, I ain't gonna just send it the wrapper. I'm gonna send it the gum, like, so they know I didn't like make this. You know, it was like official. Like, man, that's crazy. And so, and I waited, and you never had. I remember the commercial. They had Castle Eternia. They had the moving thing that goes around. It was like
It wasn't just Grayskull. They had Eternia. They had the whole collection. It was advertised as the whole collection.
Whole collection.
And for a little boy in the 80s, this is a big fucking deal. You understand?
Nigga, this is like Santa Claus showing up at your party drunk. You know what I'm saying? Fucked up your childhood, my nigga.
Dude.
Like you said, you understood that it was a hustle, a game, you know, whatever. But you shouldn't have to.
But that was the lesson that I got then. I was like, oh, corruption.
Look, I'm tired of learning lessons. You know, when you break up with somebody and that shit ruins your life, so at some point in time, you're tired of learning lessons, my nigga. Shit.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, I wish I could probably find the commercial for that shit because it was a little white boy and he opens the bubble gum and it says you win, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, all these toys that we had never seen before, like literally toys, like you would go to Gordman's or go to Shopko or go to, because we didn't have a Walmart, nigga. You know what I'm saying?
That was just Kmart. See, back then Walmart was isolated to Arkansas.
Yeah. It was localized, and so you would go to these stores, and every once in a while you would see like 5 or 6 big boxes on top. Like, oh wow, man, they got the aircraft carrier for GI Joe.
The massive stuff.
Yeah,
you had to go way out for that stuff though.
Oh, you had a purely white area.
Yes, it had to be an upper class white area where you would find the best toys.
And so you would
Ardans, remember Ardans?
Yeah, of course I do. And so you would sit there, and when you
service merchandise.
Yep. Hell, Sears and Roebuck was different. Sears had the most expensive. Sears had also had exclusive shit too. Sears has G.I. Joe stuff.
No, but what's crazy is that like there were adults that worked at Sears, and they held down a job. And they paid their mortgage with that job, dude.
Yeah, and they helped you when you walked in. Like, oh, are you looking for Flint? Flint's over here. But it's just one of these things where you learned a lesson that you shouldn't have had to learn at that age. You know, I remember I joke and tell people the first time I had a basketball stolen from me from my backyard. It's like I wanted to call the police. My mom was like, "You should have left your ball outside." No, Mom, there's criminals about. It was inside the yard.
Yes, it's in my yard.
Yeah, that was like
I had a bike stolen out of my driveway. It was a hot summer day. I parked my chrome BMX in the driveway, and somebody fucking stole it. And I'm like, ain't that a bitch?
That's how that was. Like, you know, I saw a commercial. They said if you get the one that says you win.
Dude, I went down the street and looked in motherfuckers' garages looking for my shit.
Oh man.
Yeah.
On the flip side, I was accused of stealing some shit that I didn't steal.
Oh yeah.
Hence, that's the story I told you about my mom. Was about to whoop up on a
I
boy.
know, I know, I know.
But but at the same time, that's why it's so important that you teach your people how to defend themselves. And sometimes defense ain't always physical. Sometimes I think that in this world, dealing with the whole Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, whatever, however you want to say it, that we run away from physical violence, not realizing that there's mental violence also, and that you got to be prepared for both. You got to be able to defend yourself physically and mentally. And when you say defend yourself mentally, it means damn near like you don't want to get let down. You don't want to be depressed about some shit. You don't want to be too mentally what's the word? Not involved. What's another word for hooked on some shit? You know what I'm saying? Like literally, because you get disappointed. And now in this day and age, people don't get disappointed; they just get depressed. They just sit there at home sulking because I remember when the Democrats lost. I'm trying to think who it was, and I remember being at work, and this guy was like, "I can't believe Bush won," and I'm like, "Man, shit, no, it was just damn who was." I remember Clinton, and it was supposed to be Gore, and I remember Gore losing or whatever, and this guy's like, I was upset too. I was
2000.
all
That was
yeah,
2000. No, 2004.
yeah, I was all into that shit.
It
You
was
know what I'm
Bush
saying?
and Gore, and
And
and you can tell that like he conceded. What it was that he was conceded because they didn't want another problem like in 2000 where there was like the
and the whole
recount.
yeah, remember the whole issue was that his brother had congratulated him before the election was over. Like literally, like, hey, you won Florida. Like, how do you know? They've
Jeb
done like
Bush
30 years.
congratulated George Bush Jr. Yeah,
Bush, yeah. And so it's one of these deals. Well, fast forward, you got 9/11, all this shit going on, and that's when I realized, like, oh, man, this shit, it's really not up to me, kind of thing. Well, a short time later, there was another election. Um, I can't remember who it was, but one of these liberal guys at work was like, oh, "We need to do something, such and such one," and I'm like, "You're serious?" That was me back in, like you said, 2004 or whatever. I'm like, or 2000, yeah, that
but
was
see,
me.
but you got to understand like that fervor, that angst, is what drove the January 6 people that were genuine in their anger because. But then they were galvanized by psyop agents like the FBI informant that was trying to get them to storm the Capitol. We got to go in there. We got to go in there. But he never went inside.
Well, that's another thing. They don't talk about the entrapment part. Hold it. I I am not a Trump fan. I am not a Trump supporter, but I do agree with the Second Amendment a lot. I agree with freedom of speech a lot. But the fact is that a lot of these people were entrapped. So I just saw. I was watching one of these government shows when they had some guy down in Oklahoma who was a radical Muslim. How the fuck he got to Oklahoma, I'll never know. But I'm lying because they explain it. So his dad had moved over here a while ago. The guy was back home having problems with working, whatever. He's like, look, come to America with me. He sends for his son. His son comes over here, but he didn't want to come. So he's already radicalized from the people.
Radicalized.
Yeah, radicalized. Excuse me, from the people where he is. He's legitimately around people that were killing folks. So he gets over here and he starts getting all these chat rooms. And so when the FBI finds out about him, I can't remember how they found out, but
They probably
they end
baited
up.
him. They baited him somehow.
Well, yes and no. He was legit, and they had to find out for sure that he was legit. So they would set up stuff. They would talk to him. They would never incite violence. But how do you feel about this situation? So finally, they set it up where they could meet with him. He had already had bomb stuff. He had already started working on bombs. So he's buying more equipment from them to make them work and shit. And so and so it's one of these deals. Like some of that was entrapment. I'm sorry, because they spent months, 6 months to like a year and a half, talking to this dude in different chat groups, and that's what I mean by look. I'm not saying this. I'm sure this guy was going to do it. He was legit. He wanted the 12 virgins. You dig what I'm saying? Motherfucker was pissed. He wasn't getting no pussy in this life, so he's willing to kill some of y'all to get pussy in the next life. Nigga was legit. So, but what I'm saying, that entrapment, that jerking somebody off, that talking to somebody, a lot of that shit, that guy may not have been, you know, ready to do that shit if it wasn't for those conversations that you had with the guy. You know what I'm saying? Like legitimately, you encouraged this guy, you pushed him over the edge, or you gave him. He's like, okay, you made him think there's a lot more people like him in Oklahoma thinking about blowing up shit.
Hmm. So, going back to these dating websites,
Which ones?
in the mid
Tinder?
2000s, in the mid
Oh,
2000s,
you going way back.
yeah, I think there was maybe two. I think I've only been on like two of them altogether, like in my adult life, right? And one of them was free, and then the other
Free, free,
one,
free, free.
yeah, it was free all the way. Then the other one was free up to a certain point. Like you could chat, but beyond a certain point, you had to like pay for membership and stuff, right? And it's funny because it was a dead site. It was a ghost site because there was like one chick I would talk to on there on occasion, and but she was like married, so she was on some just like bored housewife type shit. And then everybody else on there seemed to be bots because, or there were these like Nigerian scammers because they would put up pictures of African girls, and then when I would ask them questions, they would give these dry ass answers, and they would answer. You could tell it was a dude typing. I just like completely cut off communication at that point. So I'm like, all right, this site is a scam. And so whenever you would look up the site, you would see, oh, scam, scam, scam. I was like, okay, so this is that. I actually like was lucky to like run into like a woman on this site and actually have a legit conversation with a woman on that site. So I was like, that one's bogus. And then the other one was actually legit. But what it was the earliest form of data mining because it was collecting your information.
Look, the way they would entice you is like, I live in Omaha, Nebraska. There is 312 black women between
And
14
then you
and
like, I'm
29.
gonna get me at least two of them.
Yeah, between 14 and 36. And I'm like, 14 and 36 in your area. Like, no, it's not. Legitimately, some of the people you knew, like you see the picture, like, oh, I know her. But out of 300 people, you only knew like three of them because
But
Omaha's
check this
small.
out. Check this out. Well, yes and no. It is the black side of town is small,
Yeah, yeah.
but
I'm saying
the
that
dating
there was
pool.
no
But
people.
see, but here's
Yeah,
the thing though, and the older you get, the smaller that dating pool is.
sure, that was yes,
It
yes,
shrivels.
exactly.
It shrivels the fuck up. But see, the funny
It, it,
thing is, it's not just Omaha because the dating pool in other cities, the older you get, the smaller. Okay, the older you get, the smaller it gets if you stick with your age group. And the reason behind that is because people get married, people get divorced,
mhm.
people become less attractive as they
Man,
get
I'm about to
older.
say they get ugly. Like how many of them
They
chicks from
get
high
fat
school
and ugly and they stop
with,
taking
with,
care of their bodies.
yeah, without cheerleading and basketball, they ain't the same.
Woo!
Or like you run into this chick from high school and she's
She
like,
was a
uh,
gymnast, or you know what I'm
yeah,
saying? She was playing volleyball. She was a baddie.
no, the worst thing they do is like, oh, how come we didn't do this? Or they want to give you play now and didn't give you play. Look, I wanted you when you was cute,
No,
nigga.
see,
I,
no, 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 no. See, here's the thing though. Like, we're at two opposite. We on some Benjamin Button shit. See, back then he was fucking a banger. Like now you're not a banger. See, I wasn't a banger to you, so you didn't want me then. But
you
now,
ain't want
yeah,
me when you
I
had me.
got
Now
my
you on
shit
your third
together.
baby
I
daddy.
fucking work out and I eat right, and now you want me. Fuck off. Listen,
Yeah, look, makeups and breakups.
but
Method Man and D'Angelo.
but
You on your third baby
but
daddy.
see, here's the
Well,
thing
wish
though.
you could get
So
at
now
me.
you have an entire thirst trap
Culture.
industrial complex built
Hmm.
up around that type of
Desire.
shit,
It's
around
built up
desire.
on
And no,
yeah.
no, no, no. It's built on two things: loneliness and desire.
Well, also with the other thing that they've done is they've taken advantage of this whole career society, knowing that you're devoting so much time to your career and making money, whether you got kids, whether you're trying to push your business, or whether you're just trying to advance in your chosen career. It's hard to meet people and spend time, and you don't have the
Or the
social.
rise of the side piece culture, which
Yeah.
contributes
Oh,
to that.
well, I was going to say church. Like people don't go to church anymore. People don't go to bowling alleys. You don't have. And remember when we were kids. and you would watch like these grown-up single shows. They were, like Jack Tripper. They would always go to the bar. Like the neighborhood bar was a real thing back then in the late '70s, early '80s, and so white folks still go to the neighborhood bar. Black folks, we got a couple lounges we might go to, but it's regulars. But back then, that whenever you read about these serial killers, they would always go to these clubs or some bars and pick up people and kill them. And that's just how normal it was for a pickup. It was pickup culture back then. Now, when my brother tells you side piece culture, it's, hey, I know you got somebody, but, or hey, let's spend some time. And but
it's cheating normalized.
Yes, cheating's always been around, but now
But
it's like you said. Look,
and they have normalized cheating, dude. Like it's a part of life now. Because we live in an instant gratification society.
yes, but also when you see how much game, like whenever you listen to rap music back in our day, the rappers, male or female, had game. They had the ability, the gift of gab. That's what Day rest in peace. The gift of gab. You could talk to multiple women. You could talk to these women and like, oh, hey, what's up? Well, you could hold a conversation with them. And people nowadays can't hold a conversation.
Motherfuckers had personality, man.
Look, you see it in our entertainers. Remember, an entertainer had to be talented back in our day. Now you can be an entertainer. It's all based on how they push you, whether they push your album or whether they push your movies or whether they push your books. But you don't have to be talented anymore. You just got to, they put it in front of you so many places where it gets traction and people like, oh yeah, she's on our third book. They don't say the book's any good, or they're on their fifth mixtape, second studio album, and they have 1 million views, 6 million views on YouTube, 120 million views. But is it worth listening to? And the biggest problem I have with as I mature, or as the old folks getting old, the reason the biggest issue I got is because they don't make good music anymore. And I didn't understand what my parents and my Uncle Bussy and my people were saying, what your dad was saying. Like, what they don't have musicians anymore. James Brown played all those instruments. Prince played all those instruments, and it's gradually gotten worse. And don't get me wrong, computer can make music. I'm not saying it can't. I'm not saying Drake ain't talented. I'm just saying DJ Quick played 15 instruments. Prince talks about, he's like, when they talk about how great Beyonce is, he's like, yeah, but she can't write her own. She can't write her own shit. She can't compose her own music. She can't be her own producer. She's a product of a company. And I'm not dissing Beyonce. I'm not saying, but we all know she's Tony.
It is what it is.
She's limited. Aretha Franklin, you can't put them in the same area. But then when you have like people like Lauryn Hill and writes a song for Aretha Franklin and they sing it together, that's because Aretha respected that person. I ain't saying, I don't know how she feels about Beyonce. Please forgive me. But what I'm simply saying is that when you have two talented people and they meet, it produces a beautiful child. But right now, they got a lot of bastards, running around here. And what I'm talking about is how poor the music is, or how poor the product is. Like the production's better, but the content ain't shit. And that's by design.
So a lot of this information is used to create a profile on you. And so once this profile has been created on you, then you fall into these categories of types, and you become like a certain type of like level. So like there's how relevant you are, and it's called a relevancy index, right? And that's not going away anytime soon. But when they mine this data, they're using it to make money on you. And when I first began working in the early 2000s, in the late 90s, early 2000s, in the information technology industry, I was working for this company that takes medical data and puts it online and it networks hospitals together. And so I would be in the mailroom. I worked for the facilities department, and I would be in the mailroom, and I would see these tech magazines come in, and they were super duper duper techie, like way more than Wired, and very specific, right? And so these magazines would talk about knowledge-based systems. I'm like, that's an interesting term, knowledge-based systems. And I'm like, what is this shit about, right? So I would when I went to go dig about these things, I would go to college, university libraries and bookstores, because college bookstores, more so than libraries, had the newest books, right, on the cutting edge research and studies. And then you would go over to the IT section, you would see these books about knowledge-based systems. And these knowledge-based systems were about two things. They were about the beginnings of big data and also machine learning. And I'm like, oh, this is AI and analyzing information from humans, the data that's generated by humans and their behaviors. So when you look at these porn companies and you see how they collect more data than Netflix and Amazon, they create a profile of you. But see, intelligence agencies are also behind these porn companies, right? These porn data companies. And so then what used to be used as what they used to use for intrigue, not intrigue, but a compromise and like blackmail. They would have to hire a person to go get in the car and drive around and follow you. And if you went to one of those X-rated or triple X theaters and you're in like the first row jacking off in front of the screen, well, you're Pee Wee Herman. But now everybody is Pee Wee Herman. Everybody is Pee Wee Herman in their own homes. So if they want to expose you, if they want to blackmail you, if they want to create some false narrative about you, they can go and see if you're a sexual deviant from all the data they've mined from your porn preferences. Oh, he's into grandma fucking? Okay. Or he likes barely 18 sex? Okay. Make a note of that. Put a note, put a pin in that. We're going to come back. We'll circle back to that. But see, what you're doing when you visit these sites is tell them what you like and how to blackmail you. Because at some point, if your voice becomes too loud, and if you actually factually raging against the machine, they will come for you. And they will use that porn data, dating site information to manipulate you or to silence you. If they haven't deleted all the files that you had online or all the articles and research and our interviews that you had online, or they use some catch-all phrase like medical misinformation to try and eliminate your show, they will try to find other ways to come at you. So the whole purpose of this episode of Bots and Thoughts is to recap the Thirst Trap Industrial Complex episode, but to also dig deeper into the true information about how these bot farms are created, their purpose, who's behind them, and how your data is being used. So
Don't allow yourself to be jerked off by a computer.
yeah,
Because that's what they're, no, seriously, that's what they're doing. And they're taking advantage of the fact that you might be lonely or you might be going through something.
or take that a step further. So now they have AI, and now they have these sex bots, these film bots that they're making. So all they got to do is take your porn tube preferences, download that into this film bot, sex bot, and now you have this robotic sexual partner that knows everything you like already.
Look, you're laughing. But here's something I want to put this on a personal level. How many times have you gone back to your ex and the excuse you use is we have history? And if you listen to our past shows, you know what I feel about history. History is an excuse to sleep with somebody one more time you shouldn't have slept with last time. Well, that's what this is. It's taking advantage of your history. Just because you're familiar with this site or something seems comfortable, they're taking advantage of you being comfortable in an uncomfortable situation and using it against you. Don't allow yourself to be manipulated by anybody.
That's all I got. We out. Peace.
Holla back.